In the vast, dark expanse of space, where stars scatter like tiny drops of light in an endless sea of darkness, there was a spaceship called Opera. This ship was not just a means of transportation between planets, but also a key to understanding the depths of the universe in a way never seen before. Opera was from the new generation of spaceships designed using technology beyond imagination. It could travel faster than the speed of light and even manipulate time itself. It was created by a galactic union that included over 1,000 planets and civilizations, where scientists and engineers from across the galaxy worked together to develop it for decades. But what made Opera special was not its advanced design or speed, but something entirely different. On board the ship was an invisible device, functioning as a living mind that guided the ship independently. This mind, called Erios, could make strategic and complex decisions based on the data it received from the sensors scattered throughout and around the ship. Over time, Erios became more than just a programmed machine. It began to evolve into an intelligent entity with its own consciousness. However, this consciousness was not limited to Erios. It extended to the humans aboard the ship. The crew was composed of a selected group of the best human minds in various fields: scientists, engineers, doctors, and philosophers. Their primary goal was to explore the unknown and document what existed in places where no human had ever stepped before. One day, while Opera was passing through an uncharted dark space corridor, the sensors began to detect something strange. Unfamiliar energy was leaking from nearby planets, energy resembling the frequencies emitted by Erios itself. This discovery prompted the crew to make an adventurous decision to go explore the source. "Erios, what is this frequency we're detecting?" asked Captain Layla. Erios replied in its calm mechanical voice, but with a tone tinged with incomprehensible doubt. "The frequency is unknown, unlike anything we've encountered before, but I can pinpoint its location accurately." This was very strange. Captain Layla felt a strange sensation deep within, as if something mysterious was about to happen. Despite these feelings, she was an adventurous leader, never hesitating to make decisions that could lead to great discoveries. Opera sailed through the dark space, and as they neared the source, the frequency grew stronger. Suddenly, as they approached the energy-saturated dark area, something unexpected happened. Time itself began to warp. "Erios, what's happening?" Captain Layla asked, anxiety creeping into her voice. Erios quickly responded, "Time waves are overlapping. I cannot control the system." The crew felt an extraordinary confusion. Time began to slow, then speed up, and then stopped entirely. Their senses became muddled, as if they were trapped in a closed loop of time. And this was just the beginning. In the next moment, they found themselves back in a previous time, perhaps just moments before, or perhaps years ago, somewhere between reality and fantasy. It was not just the ship that had transformed. Time itself had begun to distort. Erios started a quick analysis. "This time field resembles a web of parallel dimensions. I believe we've entered an area with an unstable time tunnel." But what was the cause of this tunnel? And why was this place filled with strange energy? These questions circled in Captain Layla and the crew's minds. At that moment, they realized their adventure had taken an unexpected turn. As Opera swayed between the turbulent currents of time, the crew began to feel intense confusion. The ship's systems were being jammed, and irregular alarm sounds were filling the air. Even Erios, who was usually silent and calm, started to show signs of distress, something that had never happened before. There was a problem far more complex than what a programmed mind could understand. In the command room, Captain Layla looked at the monitoring screens, which displayed an unfamiliar scene. There was a swirling mass of light, irregularly oscillating, its colors constantly changing. Then the surrounding area began to glow with a strange light, resembling the aurora borealis, but with colors no human had ever seen before. The colors intertwined, creating unreal scenes, as if they were inside a fragmented dream between reality and fantasy. Then, in a sudden moment, something huge appeared before them. It was not just a planet or galaxy, but a giant being, resembling a column of light rising into the cosmic sky, intertwining with time as if it were the very source of the time distortion. The being's dimensions constantly shifted, and its parts moved with an acceleration that neither humans nor machines could perceive. Erios, can you identify what this is? Captain Layla asked, her voice filled with confusion. I cannot explain this phenomenon, Captain. The being does not follow any logical or physical laws we know. It is in a constant state of distortion, replied Erios cautiously. But I believe it is a creature from another dimension, dimensions that intersect with ours. Captain Layla looked at her crew, who stood silently in front of the mysterious creature. Everyone felt that what was happening surpassed their intellectual and technical capacities. This was a pivotal moment in their journey, a moment that would change their understanding of the universe itself. Then, something strange happened. The being emitted a massive light toward the Opera ship, and at that moment, Captain Layla felt something heavy in her heart. The light filled the ship, as if every atom inside had frozen in place. Time and space became meaningless, and the usual concepts vanished abruptly. But this light was not just a visual effect, it had a deep impact on the mind. The crew began to experience memories of places and times they didn't recognize. Their memories intermingled with the present, where they remembered themselves in distant places and times, and scenes from their past manifested as if they had lived them in multiple dimensions. Time here was interwoven in an incomprehensible way, as if they had become part of the giant being itself. Then, as the light faded, things returned to normal in a strange way. However, as they later discovered, the dimensions of time had changed. What seemed to be minutes to them was, in fact, several days in another dimension, and the place they were in had become more vast than before. They wondered, were they still in the same universe they began from? Amidst this confusion and disorientation, an unknown device appeared on the ship. It was unlike any device they had seen before. Its form was incredibly complex, like a blend of modern technology and philosophical concepts they had yet to comprehend. A strange writing appeared on its screen, and the letters began to move and change gradually. Erios, can you read this? Captain Layla asked, her eyes wide with astonishment. Erios replied after a moment of silence. This writing is not from our language, but it seems to be a message from other beings. Perhaps this is how they chose to communicate. Then, suddenly, an unexpected voice echoed in the room. It was a strange, deep sound, as if the universe itself were speaking to the crew. The voice, in an unintelligible dialect but with clear meaning, said, "You have entered a place that no one of your kind can understand. But if you wish to survive, you must understand its meaning." Everyone fell silent as questions piled up in their minds. Who were these beings? What did their message mean? Had they really come to the edge of discovering something greater than anything they had ever imagined? The journey had transformed from merely exploring space to a challenge with the very laws of the universe itself. And now they had to decide. Would they continue this unprecedented discovery, or would they return to where they started, to avoid whatever consequences might lie ahead? Captain Layla knew that this was not just a test of their minds, but a test of their existence in this universe. She took a deep breath and looked at her crew, who shared her same anxiety. Each one was lost in thoughts of their fate and the type of beings they had possibly entered the realm of. Through their interaction with this massive entity, they not only felt time breaking around them, but they sensed that time was no longer as it had been. Everything was intertwined and everything was connected. It was a pivotal moment, a moment that no human being had ever experienced. With each passing second, fear and curiosity were rising at the same time. As the Opera ship sailed through the void of space, continuing to swing between parallel worlds and dimensions, Erios began to readjust the ship's systems. It seemed as though the mechanical mind was beginning to understand what was happening around them more deeply with each new time wave passing through them. Suddenly, the ship's screen lit up with a new message. You are not where you belong yet, but time is within your reach. If you wish to return, you must read this message. Understand it and carry it beyond time and space, for the time you are living in is not the time you once knew. The message was cryptic, as if containing instructions or a warning, but no one could determine exactly what it meant. Nevertheless, there was a strong sense that this message was determining their next fate. Decision to leave. Captain Layla and her crew had only one choice: move forward. If there was something to understand in this strange place, they had to be ready for it. They could not go back the way they came. The further the Opera ship ventured into this mysterious field, the more they realized that the truth they sought might be farther than they could imagine. Days passed, and moments turned into hours. The crew began to accept the idea that they were living in a place beyond the normal time and space. The ship itself adapted to the new reality as its technology began to exhibit unfamiliar functions, capable of interacting with time waves and converting them into controllable energy. Then, at that pivotal moment, the entity appeared before them again, its glowing form rising from the center of the vast void of space. It spoke once more in a language that echoed in their minds, saying, "You have been part of the unknown for a reason. Time is within your grasp. But remember, the journey is not over. You have become part of a story older than your civilization, older than your history, older than your time." And with that, Captain Leyland knew that this was only the beginning. The unknown still awaited them, and the journey into this new reality was just starting.